All right, academics and law experts say they're seeing a growing number of people using AI to appeal university grades and argue legal cases. The results are varied, sometimes hampered by AI hallucinations, but also giving people easier access to helpful advice. Here to discuss the good and bad of AI-assisted writing is futurist Paul Spain. Good morning, Paul. Lovely to have you back on the show. We're obviously seeing an increase in this. What are the main issues that you see with this?
Probably the biggest one is the plausible nonsense that we sometimes get out of AI systems.
This sounds like legal writing to a T, isn't it? Come on now.
Well, look, we have this challenge in that in a court situation, you really want things to go according to plan. You want things to be predictable. You don't want to be wasting the court's time. And when somebody turns up to court with AI hallucinated content, that's a real problem. And we've seen these cases. There was one in the US just in the last week I was reading about. The Department of Justice turned up and they had AI hallucinated content. It was, citing, fake cases and situations that weren't actually real. So this sort of thing can, waste a terrible amount of time.
That's one of the big problems that we have with our legal system, right, actually, is that there's so much vexatious stuff clogging up the system, isn't there?
Yeah, and look, what we want is a legal system that gives justice and things don't stretch out and take longer and longer and longer. And, if we look at now in the digital world where we exist, there can be huge amounts of information that needs to be collated and researched that can cause these cases to drag out for extreme lengths of time. And if you start throwing AI in where it can, research forever and, unlimited lengths of documents and information, and then that stuff's not trustworthy, then, we can really freeze up our court systems.
On the other side, it could free up the court systems if it is used properly, no?
Yeah, and this is the opportunity, is to bring justice for those that otherwise may not have been able to get it. But we also, need to be aware we want the human element, and I don't think we can expect AI on its own to deliver justice. And there are some who think, well, actually we should move towards a technocracy where AI and technology and algorithms should make all the decisions, legal, political, and we hand it all over to the technology. But I think that would be something of a dystopian future.
Well, it does say justice delayed, justice denied, right? So at what point do we get to a stage where AI is helpfully making that process smoother and more efficient? Look,
I think we're there to some degree, and those who are using AI that has been customised, specifically for legal use, that are using it to assist in the background, not to front cases. And we saw another situation where somebody turned up in court. They didn't have their own legal counsel, and it was a remote court attendance over video, and they surprised the court by putting a digital, human and AI avatar on the screen to plead their case. So, those sort of situations are not quite right, but I think it's getting better and better. What folks should be careful of if they're thinking about, doing these sorts of things themselves, is you need to make sure you check the output of any AI you use and recognise there's a difference often between what you can get in terms of a free AI online and a suitable and appropriate paid subscription that will go deeper and do broader and more solid research.
You're looking for a very cheap learned friend, right? But that is the thing, right? Legal costs are astronomical at the best of times. So actually, for a lot of people, they're going to see this as being an accessible way to justice.
Absolutely, and it can be. I think it is a useful tool, and it cuts through that challenge of the inaffordability at times of being able to get justice. Those people that have been buried in situations because they just can't fight somebody who's got deeper pockets than them. And I think this over time will give us maybe a much fairer outcome when it comes to legal situations.
All right, Paul Spain from Gorilla Technology. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us on Breakfast this morning.
Thank you.